He had left the elders speechless. Eventually, they became agitated and lectured him for interrupting the elders' conversation. They challenged him, asking if he even knew what the Sichuan city lord's letter said before barging in. They called him an insolent nobody and reported him to the clan head for daring to meddle. The elders used this opportunity to argue for a son-in-law from a respectable, established martial clan instead. Chiolsen's wife was starting to get annoyed. Inside, Soryang thought about how these old codgers sounded more absurd the more they talked. Back when he was Spicy Fabry, he had more than 1 million total subscribers and over 3,000 viewers per stream on average. He pointed out that it seemed the elders still refused to recognize him as the son-in-law of the Sichuan Tang clan. In essence, Soryang was still considered a guest. With Spicy Fiber's large fan base, he was used to handling disruptive trolls who caused chaos without reason. Soryang emphasized that he had saved the precious daughter of the Sichuan Tang clan, Lady Huayan. Moreover, he had defeated Bloodhand Rakshasa, Takun Yang, and saved the patriarch's life. He challenged the elders, questioning if insulting a guest and benefactor was part of the Sichuan Tang clan's etiquette. Inside, Soryang knew the malice he faced from the elders was nothing compared to the trolling he dealt with as a streamer. It was almost cute by comparison. The elders were embarrassed and admitted they had spoken hastily and out of desperation. In his mind, Soryang found them pathetic. The Grand Patriarch was impressed by Soryang. One elder suggested that claiming to have taken down Takun Yang was too much. The Patriarch affirmed Soryang's claim, showing them a document. The elder gasped upon seeing it, and their jaws dropped when they realized it was the Bloodhand Poison Art's secret manual. Written in blood, it was authentic and belonged to the blood sect. The Patriarch encouraged Soryang to show the elders the spotted centipedes. Soryang gently tapped his chest, inviting the elders to look. The 3 baby spotted centipedes emerged happily. The elders felt uneasy at the sight. The Patriarch explained that they were offspring of the blue spotted centipede and proudly shared that his son-in-law was raising them. He recounted how these little ones were the ones who bit Takun Yang to death. The elders were incredulous, confirming with the Patriarch that the young warrior had indeed managed to control a blue spot centipede. The Patriarchs Soryang and Gyup had devilish grins as they teased the elders. Chiolsen pointed out that referring to Soryang as a young warrior was a sign they hadn't accepted him as his son-in-law. Soryang even managed to warn them jokingly that if they bit, they'd end up as black and lifeless as Takun Yang. The elders were taken aback, quickly denying any refusal to accept Soryang. They scrambled for excuses, saying there was a process, and it was natural for them to hesitate. The Grand Patriarch sighed and decided to set aside the topic of their son-in-law for now. He inquired why Soryang couldn't enter the Hall of 10,000 Poisons. The elders argued that Soryang hadn't fully become part of the family yet. Additionally, they were reluctant to entrust the Hall of 10,000 Poisons to a young warrior who hadn't even reached the age of maturity. The Grand Patriarch suggested a simple solution. He requested Soryang to demonstrate his ability. Soryang grinned and stated that to prove his worthiness to the Sichuan Tang clan, he would do it their way, using poison. The elders were taken aback, misunderstanding him to mean he would poison the Lord of Sichuan province. They called him foolish for considering poisoning the Lord instead of sending medicine. Soryang was confused, as he thought the Sichuan Tang clan specialized in poison. The next day, the Grand Patriarch informed Soryang that he would begin learning the Tang clan's martial art, the 5 Venoms returning technique. Soryang asked if this would involve physical training. The Grand Patriarch explained that as he practiced martial arts, his body would naturally adapt to align with the techniques he learned. Museong elaborated that the Tang clan prioritized practicality, so Soryang would learn skills that could be immediately applied in real situations. Museong then unpacked various weapons, including arrows, daggers, and shuriken. They started with throwable concealed weapons like needles, coins, darts, powder, daggers, and throwing knives. Though there were many unconventional concealed weapons, most could be categorized into 5 types. Museong asked Soryang if he knew which one was the easiest to handle. Soryang guessed it was the dagger or throwing knife, and he was correct. Museong then asked which one he thought was the most difficult. Soryang guessed that powder would be the hardest to handle since it had to be scattered effectively. However, Museong informed him that it was actually the needle that posed the greatest challenge. Soryang assumed it was because of its small and thin form, making it difficult to throw accurately. Museong explained it wasn't just that. The real challenge was that Soryang had to remember the exact positions where he threw the needles. To illustrate, Museong decided to demonstrate. He took out a brush, separated the head from the handle, and made a sudden throwing motion. The bristles floated in the air, transforming into needles that rained down to the ground. Soryang was amazed as the bristles embedded themselves themselves like needles, continuing to fall. Museong explained that the Tang clan had a hidden weapon technique called sky-obscuring flower rain. This secret art involved hundreds or even thousands of needles falling like a rain of flowers, covering the area. Soryang thought that fighting in an area filled with needles meant he had to be very cautious. He politely pointed out that if the entire area was filled with needles, there wouldn't be much space to move. Museong laughed, confirming that was exactly the point. Soryang needed to remember the positions of the needles to avoid becoming a victim of his own technique. To Soryang, this seemed unbelievable. Soryang began to sweat as he confirmed with Museong whether he needed to remember the positions of needles that deflected opponents or those that fell out of place. Museong replied affirmatively. Museong informed him that, with the 5 poisons body, Soryang would need to memorize at least 100 positions to start. Soryang turned pale at the thought. After the demonstration, he collapsed face down on the ground. Lady Hueun then appeared. She asked if she looked prepared, wearing a beekeeping suit since she heard he was going to catch a hornet. She wondered if it was unnecessary. Soryang assured her that it wasn't unnecessary. He was planning to wait for a hornet, but with their gear, they could catch it themselves. Hueun double-checked if he really intended to wait for the hornet to come. Soryang replied that she would understand once they got there. He asked if she knew where the hornet's nest was. Hueun confirmed that she had found one nearby so they could head there immediately. Soryang also donned a beekeeping suit. As they prepared, Hueun brought up the letter sent to the city lord of Sichuan province and asked if he had seen it. Soryang confirmed he had. Hueun expressed concern that, being young, Soryang might not fully grasp the letter's contents. Blushing, Soryang mentioned that Yang Kai in men is quite important. Hueun felt embarrassed and told him that was enough, realizing he was aware of the situation. The major issue troubling the city lord of Sichuan was erectile dysfunction. His rod was no longer getting hard. Hueun became suspicious of Soryang's knowledge, given his age. Soryang excused it by saying he had lived alone for some time. Embarrassed, Hueun quickened her pace. A few hours later, they arrived at the forest. Soryang got distracted by the creatures there, and Hueun had to keep him focused until they reached their destination. It looked like a mini cave, an ideal place for hornets. Hueun inquired about the significance of finding a bee without a hive. As they put on their head protectors, Soryang explained. He told her it meant that while they came looking for hornets, they wouldn't actually be capturing any. Hueun was puzzled as they approached the hole. Soryang explained that the venomous insect they were after could be found in smaller, weaker hives. Hueun was unaware of this, but fortunately, the hive had what they needed. An insect emerged, and Soryang captured it with chopsticks. They hadn't come to catch a hornet. This little insect was their target. This small creature would solve the Sichuan city lord's troubles.
So, friends, this chapter comes to an end. What will happen next? We'll uncover it in the next chapter. Don't forget to rate this chapter out of 10 in the comments. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.